Hello, welcome back to BSLIVE. In this episode, I want to give you an example of real-life productions of how you can convert a 3D assets into USDZ assets that will work as AR. Beside USDZ, I'm gonna also teach you how to prepare GLB format or GLTF format properly, so it works correctly on the viewer. So this asset was actually made by Jaenne, Jaenne Serendipity. She's actually on Twitter, and she made this using older version of Blender. So it looks almost the same, except that this part is actually at the bottom, interface wise. So you just right click, flip the header to the top. So now it's more like Blender 2.8 interface. So I will save this as SNOWMAN to AR. I'm gonna give a different version number. So she gave me these assets, and this one, if we try to render it out using Eevee, it looks like that. Cycles maybe a little bit better. Oh yeah, okay. This actually can be baked to get a better result. We can see the tree is covered with snow. It's fairly simple assets, but it's very well done. A lot of effort put on this. I will actually give it, maybe just give it a bit of sunlight so we can see the assets. This is a preview in Eevee. We don't know how many materials this guy have, but okay, Jen tried to export it to GLB, and the result is looking something like this. I'm using Babylon, Sandbox Babylon, to test the AR. So I'm using left mouse button to rotate, 2 fingers up and down zoom, 2 finger tap and drags will pan. We can see there's this extra sphere that we don't need. This is something that I will delete, or maybe not to export. This asset looks fine, but we don't see any shading. So this is the common mistakes. I mean, some people actually might like this kind of look. So it's kind of like a flat look, just color, no texture whatsoever. So basically with assets like this, we usually try to make sure each mesh already have UV. Sometimes you don't actually have UV. So in this case, okay, it doesn't actually have UV, so that's fine. But it will export properly. So if I use something like reality converter or USDZ converter, I can test this further. So this is the first trial export by Jaenne. The result is looking something like this, which is actually not too bad, right? But we can tweak the material a little bit better as a PBR material, so that it reacts better to the environment. Currently it's a little bit flat. Okay, so for that we need to perhaps maybe just change the material to the proper PBR. So we have this, okay, 3 material. Okay, so I'll give another light so we can see. So there are actually 2 material for the tree. So the tree and the snow. Oh, it says pohon. Pohon is like tree in Indonesian language. So use nodes, and now it's a PBR. With PBR we have things like metallic, roughness. By default is you have a bit of specularity. Material for the tree we don't need metallic. Roughness we can increase. The color, maybe I just leave the color. This is the snow, so I'm gonna convert this also to PBR, because PBR will export as GLB or GLTF. I mean, we don't always need PBR. There are all kind of different material shaders, but PBR is a common. So for the snow, you might give a little bit of reflections, maybe with roughness. It's totally up to you. You can try clear coats, maybe if you want it to be more reflective. This also, the SNOWMAN have its own material, I will maybe just give it a little bit of metallic. Actually, maybe not too much. Maybe a little bit of clear coat. Maybe just a little. We have this okay red color for the scarf. This guy we can have a little bit of metallic. It's fancy metallic. The nose. This is a carrot. Roughness metallic. We don't need. This branch. Use nodes. So when you turn on use nodes, now it's given principles BSDF, because Jaenne actually used older blender to use to make this. So the material is not a PBR. So the wood roughness, yeah, I think it should be pretty good, unless I miss something. So I miss this part of the eyes and the mouth and the button. Okay, the button, maybe a little bit of metallics, something fancy. Oh, interesting. This actually is that wood materials. Okay, so this is okay. I think it will work. I'm gonna select all of these, so we actually include some of the light. It's okay. Maybe just tap on M, create a new collection. Let's call it export. So we have export. For the sun, we actually don't need it inside the collections, so move it outside. But here we can select hierarchy, select objects inside hierarchy, and then file, export, GLB, include only selected objects. Sometimes we actually need to turn on apply modifiers. For now it's okay. Copyright, then I mean Jaenne, and then export. I like to use GLB and GLTF because it's the format that's actually accepted by it's good format for AR, I think. Oh, I save it here. That's the name. Okay, should be here. Is it not? Okay, it's actually here, and then I can drag it into this sandbox Babylon, and now we can see the shading is a little bit better. Oh, actually I like this shiny part. Maybe I need to turn that into proper PBR. We can make the snow a little bit more shiny, maybe. But other than that, it looks fine. I mean, we can actually bake the ambient occlusions, and that will probably make it a little bit better. But I like the snow. I like to be maybe more metallic. So let's try that. This is something to do with the clear coat. I like metallic, a little bit of metallic roughness. Roughness more. Okay. Something clear coat is actually a little bit shiny sometimes. You can see there. That's the effects of clear coat. So maybe just increase the roughness of clear coat. So it's very fancy shader. So select objects, file, export, GLB. Remember export settings, include selected objects. So export again. So we can test it out again on Babylon. If you have reality converter app, okay, that's actually a little bit darker. That's interesting. What material is this? Oh, this one should be principles. Okay, but this the head also. Oh, this is the white color. Give it a bit of clear coat. Metallic roughness. Okay, all right. Select objects, file, export, GLB, export. Now, because I'm using Mac, we have this Reality Converter app, so we can actually test this over here. It's closer if you are working in using Apple environment. You want to publish it to iOS device, iPhone, iPad. You can use Reality Converter app, and you can see the result is closer to the final AR result. With the GLB with AR on Android, the quality can vary depending on the device, but this is actually a good approximations. You can test using different HDR. Oh, I'm actually not online, so don't worry about this. So I'm gonna switch to Reality Converter. So it's a good format. It's really, it's really good app from Apple. It's only currently still beta, only available for Apple developer. Yeah, you can see the result. You can test it on different environment. This one's kind of like afternoon, daytime. Oh, this is nice. It's like snow kind of environment. Play around with the exposure. I like the nighttime. If your object have emissions, do try this one, nighttime HDR environment, and you can test it out. And you can simply share it, file, export as USDZ. You might notice maybe there's a little bit of artifact. That's probably the normal of the objects that you need to be careful. Or maybe it doesn't have UV with proper UV, with a better like PBR, because this is like only like material and color. It doesn't have anything else. With a proper texturing, proper roughness and metalness, even the normal, you get much better looking result. So on the desktop. So once it's become USDZ, you can just airdrop it, share it to your friend using iMessage, WhatsApp. It's gonna work, but only works on the iOS ecosystem at the moment. Maybe in the future it will work on Android. Maybe Apple will provide some kind of AR viewer. So just now I'm actually trying to open up Reality Composer app. So from Reality Converter, you convert the assets from GLB. Now I'm working using Reality Composer, and I'm gonna drop this snowman. It's very cute model. With AR, I suggest, I think with something like this, maybe the tree and the snowman can be separate. So you can kind of randomize the size of the tree, and then snowman can be separate, and you can make the snowman animated. So you separate each assets, unless you want to bundle it. You bundle it using Reality Composer app, because at the moment it's like a single app, like a single group of objects. Maybe I can ungroup it. Now there's still single object. Let's try expand. Oops. Hierarchy select. Snowman. No. So currently, if I just add like behavior, like tap and flip, for example, if I play it back, everything will flips. It's cute. I mean, you can try something like this. But yeah, and then you can export this as .reality. But for now, I'm just gonna give it. I'm gonna send this to Jaenne. So I made this is like a free conversions. I'm doing it on my own time. I don't. And Jaenne actually lent me these assets to play around with. So yeah, thanks, Jen. So hopefully this is interesting and useful for you. If you are dealing with AR in the future, you will definitely work. Maybe most of you will eventually get to work with AR or VR. It's similar to game productions or film, but you worry about the assets and assets management a lot, because this can grow, and I think you can also have to think of this is going to be like an asset, and you're going to place it inside a level or some kind of scene for the user experience. You will add behavior, maybe some kind of physics, so you have to make sure the assets is always like you have to be flexible with the assets, but you want to also make it work correctly. For something that's more complex 3D animation, with some things with animations, with a PBR, with a lot of texture, you will really appreciate something like reality converter, because you can go inside the material and start to add. You look at the material and then start to add texture. This one doesn't have any texture. Let's say if I mean they don't have UV as well. You need to have UV, because I don't think any of these have UV. So UV is very important. You have to make sure the objects have UV so that you can drag and drop material. Because for example, even if I have materials, I cannot just drag and drop into this guy because it's not gonna work. Oh, interestingly enough, it's assigning automatic UV. That's actually really interesting. I didn't know that. This is pretty cool actually. I just realized it. Normally, because it's gonna give you some kind of weird pink color error, so now this snowman is wood. Maybe the snow can be different material. Snowman, and so the carrot, okay, snow, red, the red color. I like it, just simple like that. Maybe the snow can be different. I don't have many materials. Sculpted. Okay, that's wood. Granite. Granite is like kind of like a rough snow. I can try. Snow. Granite smooth. Okay, see the repeating texture. Not very pretty, but we can try. It's better to assign the UV, lay it out on your 3D, on Blender, in Blender, or other 3D package. It looks kind of shiny. It's kind of nice. File, export. Oh, once it is inside Reality Converter, it will export to USDZ, right? But this doesn't export to anything else. It's gonna be like USDZ only. In Blender, you can file export as GLB or maybe export as USD in the future. So I like to work in Blender most of the time. Reality Converter is there for convenience. You just drag and drop GLB and it's done. I think that, yeah, this should work on the iPhone and iPad. I can just drop it. But there you go. That's a kind of a rundown of the process to convert 3D assets. You make sure you export the right 3D assets. If there is animations, you need to bake it properly. For simple assets like this, it's very easy. Normally, it takes me only like a few minutes. Fastest. If it has many textures, it's just you either manually or you use a script to place the PBR. If you're using Reality Converter, it's all manual, but it's kind of nice as well. You have a lot of interesting feature of this little app from Apple. Properties, you can export it. You can set it to millimeters, smaller. Property, copyrights, very important. Copyright. I like to keep credits to whoever makes the assets. So yeah, very important file. This is a centimeters one. So hopefully you find it useful. Thanks again for tuning in again, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.